So thank you for 20 subscribers. So we're just going to be watching the FNCS live in Fortnite right now.
We're going to see a lot more of those, really 50. You are just trying to outdrop somebody, right? Sometimes in bigger POIs, both teams land on at the same POI. You land on the side, they land the other, you get a chance to build up a bench fight. In a lot of these fights, it's literally just going to be whoever has the better drop map, whoever's been practicing more, and whoever gets lucky with the loot they pick up are going to be the ones to be victorious. When it comes to this team here on our screen, Jacob, a lot of hype coming into the competition, but hype they can certainly live up to.
And one of the more contested spots right now over towards Faulty splits. Immediately jumping in with a team going down. Trexer is going to go ahead and save the day. Quick revive, getting right back up. But you got to know it's not going to be Clearwaters anytime soon. As I do believe Vidil No Riley has just been taken out over towards Lonely Labs. They're going to go out and rethink their strategy after that first game. What are we going to do different? What things need to change? Mr. Savage and I drop over towards Anvil Square. And that's the thing right now. Mr. Savage and I drop, they just getting better and better every single time I get the chance to watch them.
Yeah, a team that has a lot of fans, of course. Anybody playing with Mr. Savage is going to be up there in terms of fan favourites. It'll be interesting.
You also get free rewards for watching this. Either dropping in Fortnite or putting your Epic Games account on like Twitch or YouTube and stuff like that.
You've got to get there first, and that all starts here today. But regardless of where you place today, Jacob, you will be picking up series points, right? And so that's going to be a major bonus moving forward, right? If we go here for the next couple of weeks, 3 weeks of qualifiers, it's all about accumulating them series points. We have a replay of this fight over at the Citadel.
That's teamwork right there. One player weakening the cover, the next one breaking it, pushing through. Seti and Cammy, though, first time being able to see our FNCS Invitational champions here over towards Frenzy Field. I got to give it to Caster last, reading his notes. And he's saying this is the first time since Game 11 of the FNCS Invitational that Seti and Cammy are going to be uncontested. And a team that plays as passive as all the time in the world to work with. Jack, speak up on another player. This is going to be a great opportunity for him to try to get some early game damage.
Yeah, you can see Uguay being very, very cunning about the way he approaches this one. Making sure not to be seen. Of course, Wash player is going to be doing the same as he looks to sort of flank and get a different angle. That's going to be the way you want to approach a lot of fights, right? Look for a pinch. Look to try and cover as many angles as possible and open. They're going to take the shots and look to push in. The crack shields will be the trigger for them to start running on in. And it's only about a time you've got to think before they pick this one up.
Yeah, you can see his teammate in the mini-map trying to use the shockwave hammer, close the distance so he can hand that helping hand on over as Joker's trying to get back on out in the opposite direction. They're reunited here for now, but how much time can they buy to gain some stability here in this one? As Uguay Wash player still putting the tags on from the distance. Shield's going to get dropped. Uguay's going to see that as a green light to go for now, but maybe it was green, quickly turned yellow, slowing down the pace, backing up, knowing not to bite off more than you can chew in this situation. This is only game one. There's 6 games on the day. You have to be consistent.
The window was there. The window was definitely there for them to pick up, them and make.
We'll just be watching game one thing, and we'll end the video because you can watch it on Twitch and stuff live now.
Right back into some fast-paced action for you as Mr. Savage finds himself in a sticky situation, trying to hammer out, but with how low he is, he's going to get knocked as he glides through the sky. And that is not ideal whatsoever for the Norwegian. He falls at the hands of Dan even. Nice up now in a 2v1 with another pair of eyes set on this fight. Seemingly an impossible task, you think.
Calling over Mr. Savage, trying to bait him feet. That's going to be a huge trade in shots. Mr. Savage is going to go down, but iDrop putting a good amount of damage out, but now he's convinced that he is a solo. Luckily for him, though, he's down there. He can try to get the reloot card. If these guys do back off, there's another team nearby, and that's where they're going to have to make that calculated decision. Do I stay? Do I try to get another elimination, or do I take what I can get? I got my surge, continue looting up, and play for the rest of the game.
South for the Frenchman, Snazy and Anderlecht, a duo who, on countless occasions throughout their careers, have come ever so close to winning FNCS championships and never quite been able to do it. These guys have been playing with each other for quite a while now as a duo. One of the few duos that we will mention today who have done that, sticking together through second thing. All their loyalty, and now playing with Scram. So a chip on his shoulder, a lot to prove. He needs to show the world that he is still a top player. Teeny and Misha though. We saw how well they were doing earlier in the game and things switching hands. Mr. Savage was forward at the hands of Misha, so now 1v1, Misha versus iDrop. Maybe going to trade the revives. That would be optimal. It doesn't mean that iDrop's going to start. He's going to keep it going, keep the pressure applied. And now maybe a chance for both teams to get their teammates up.
And honestly, it looks like he's been pretty busy at this already. You saw Mr. Savage go down at the beginning of the game, already brought back in, down again, never giving up, always standing tall. That's going to be the thing. Doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down, it matters how many times you get back up. And iDrop is letting Mr. Savage know it's okay. We still got this. It's the big picture that they're looking at as this fight does look like it's a little bit prolonged, but iDrop and Savage knows when to back off, when to disengage, and I think Misha and his duo are going to do that same thing, go the opposite direction, but with the shockwave hammers and getting there first, it's going to be a little bit better for them.
Yeah, I think it serves to benefit both teams to disengage here.
Yeah.
Of course, both accruing a decent amount of damage on each other, and so that goes a long way in terms of managing Storm Surge. But then not griefing each other's games, right? Making sure that they both are able to stay in this one for a significant period of time. But look here at Hellfire and Refsguard. Refsguard IGLing. He's talked plenty times now about how his goal this season is to establish himself as one of the best IGLs in not just the region but in all of the world. And he's got a brilliant player by his side in Hellfire, so a team definitely to watch out for. Some potential underdogs, dark horses.
And this is where that Lonely Labs fight went down early on, so pulling south. You got to imagine most of the teams trying to get there sooner rather than later, but that's why it's becoming a little bit more congested of a spot. And that's why I'd like to see somebody think outside of the box. We saw it yesterday on NA East. Perhaps some sort of a boat. Try to go around everybody to the slower side. You got to make sure that you have the extra surge in your back pocket in order to make that a viable strategy. Because you don't want to try to make something like that happen. You're down surge, and then when your back's up against the wall, you're forced to use all your heals, all your resources just to make it work.
And over here, Slappy, right? We're going to see plenty of that happening with players doing a bunch in terms of trying to get their surge. Of course, though, we have plenty going on all around the map, and we can't possibly cover it all, Jacob. And so, thankfully, we have one of our analysts, the wonderful Best Taco, here to fill us in on everything we've missed. Taco, what's going on?
Thanks so much, Levin. For starters, Thomas, he knows that proper surge management couldn't be more important because then you don't have to worry about getting some proper positioning later on. So he's already taken the opportunity since acquiring Max Mats to just build on up on height, looted out the entirety of that North Anvil over near Icy Islets, and now he's just looking for the free and easy surge tags as they come.
You heard the breakdown, you heard the strategy in which Thomas is going for right out of the gates. And I like that because it shows that every single one of these top players have different facets to their game plan. They can get aggressive, they can take over at a moment's notice, but they can also play that slow, steady game plan, knowing that Storm Surge is a huge part of the game as Queasy and Vino are trying to do that boat rotate that I was talking about moments ago. Hopefully for them, they have the surge because they're getting stuck out in open waters.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I really like to see this boat rotation because, honestly,
wow,
you know, boat rotating was a big thing way back in Chapter 2, and it's almost like teams almost forgot about the benefits of it, and we're seeing this team use it and get great advantage from it, right? I don't think these guys are expecting Queasy and Vino all the way out here in the ocean, and so some free tags there, 570 above, but to see Queasy and Vino boat rotating is something that you often will have to see teams who land on the extremities do, right? They obviously land all the way up north of the map, and so when zone pulls to the south like this, one of the best options for them is to just rotate all the way around by that boat.
Now, I keep just thinking back to that calculated part of the aggression I was talking about, because in order to make something like that happen, you saw they were over 400 above the damage threshold. They had to be very, very proactive early on, uncontested, allowing them to loot up right out of the gates, not worry about much, just like Vico and Kylie over here. A little bit to worry about over Slappy Shores, a lot to fight for, plenty of metal, so teams are going to try to scavenge it, even if they don't necessarily land here. So they got their work cut out for them, trying to sneak around, trying to get the drop on their opponents. They are in the zones. Out, so they can easily players want to be that one to back off just yet. Not too soon, because then you let the other team know that you might be a little intimidated. You might not want to fight, and some people think that is a weakness.
Yeah, and you never want to show yourself to be weak in a lobby like this one. Of course, Clown and Frey are weak in the sense that they are below Surge, and so they need to hit a shot. A big, shotgun shot would be enough to move them just above, but of course they want to be more than just above. They want to be comfortable, sitting pretty. Vico and Canada, they need to stay patient, don't need to overextend, don't need to overpeak, expose themselves. And you see there, Vico, he doesn't want to be making any noise, and so making sure to aim down his sight as he crouches away. That means the sound cues aren't there, and Clown and Frey won't be aware of where exactly he is and where he's moved.
They're going to have to move eventually. A zone's going to pull off of Slappy Shores. Not too much to worry about, though. It is going to be close by, but still 67 below the damage threshold. They're going to have to be proactive. Storm Surge beginning to tick in. Shields getting ripped off. Vico playing calm, cool, collected. Waiting for the big pop to be popped. Huge shot to be fired. Great job by Vico. Surprising Clown, taking him down altogether. He knows that he cannot be the hero. His teammate has to get out of dodge. That's going to be a big elimination for Vico and Kylie to keep their Storm Surge very active. And another 100 tag. Vico back to take out the full duo.
And you can see the passion in Vico's face as he gets those limbs. It means so much to him. Huge stuff there from Vico, one of the most talented players we have in all of the Fortnite world right now.
Down below Surge, Thomas and Malibuca. Taco broke it down. The huge tower that they were building to try to get the Surge, they eventually had to move off. They probably didn't get the tags that they needed. A little bit of a least contested spot, with the zone continuously pulling south. Now their back's up against the wall, having to use a lot of their resources, a lot of their heals, but they know only 15 below. Eventually, they will get ahead. They just need to land one shot here in this scenario, and you already see the Danger Hero augment working to Malibuca, able to kind of save some of those resources, but they're not finding the shots, Levin.
Yeah, but look, if you are familiar with EU, you will know that if there's anybody you have to bet on to get themselves out of a Surge situation, it would be Thomas HD, so renowned for hitting big shots, some of the best aim I've seen in any game ever, quite frankly. And so hopefully we can start to see them taking shots. Of course, as players start to move towards the zone like we're seeing here, there will be opportunities, vulnerabilities. Nevertheless, the Rest Guard and Hellfire, they do a good job of moving ever so close to zone. Of course, they do have to move in just a bit more, though. They actually want to be safe from the storm.
Impressive Surge management, only one elimination, over 1,000 above the threshold. That Red Eye must have been firing off almost all mid-game, just trying to make it here towards the end game, peeking through, trying to gather that information. And since they're on the edge of zone, they're trying to look at what other players are so late to rotate, and they find a target, immediately putting down the shots. On the other hand, the FNCS Invitational Champions, 400 above the damage threshold, no eliminations. They're just playing their game plan through and through. It's about throwing number 5 and on, where they begin to pick up a lot of their eliminations.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have been concerned about Seti and Cammy. Of course, they won the Invitational. It was one of the most impressive feats we've seen. The amount of games they were able to win, the style in which they won that actual last game in the tournament was impressive, but they've not started the season so hot, and so I'm sure many people will want to see them doing a lot better. I dropped there falling on our screen. That's going to be the end for him and Mr. Savage in this game. But of course, this is the opportunity, right? The FNCS Major, the beginning of the big tournament of the season. This is your chance to really show what you're about, even if you haven't performed that well leading up to this point. This is where it matters the most. This is where it counts.
And if you have performed well leading up to this tournament, this is a chance for you to really make a statement for the next couple of weeks. Get those series points. Let everybody know which POI is yours. Vortex for Lucy. It's going to be one of those teams, 200 above the damage threshold. 12 points so far, 3 eliminations. Pretty solid game out of them. You look at the resources, about 56 on the Lucy, plenty to work with. I would say if they don't pull this next zone, they might need to be looking for a refresh depending on where it actually goes. But that's something we might see later on in the game anyway.
And for Lucy and Vortex, just waiting there. I'm sure they know that map is waiting on the other side of that wall. That left-hand peak would be favourable, and so maybe he needs to cool down a bit. Reason and Janice trying to build their way into zone, and of course they have some spare loot here. The hammers in hand will go a long way. We know how important they are this season. A necessity for success, it seems.
Tag that from the side. Dropping down just a quick layer, not too much, something to work with. Queasy, Vino outside of zone. They got some traveling to do, and it almost makes me wonder, what is that play going to be? Lower they take, it almost looks like they're rotating. These teams here taking a lot of that damage from Storm. Even if you're 700 above, you still have to be careful for those teams that are below, because they're going to be relentlessly trying to hunt to get the damage.
Yeah, like you said, right? You might be fine, but that doesn't mean the people around you are fine, and that can lead them to make some hasty plays and look to try and get in your box. And when they're in your box, if you don't have the answers, if you can't hit the shots, you will go down. And it looks like that's what's going to be happening here. Okay, not completely over there. But now Prednex has to hit some sort of big shot if he wants to keep his team in the game. Of course, his teammate is down. I don't know if he'll be able to recover that body. It doesn't really look like it. Maybe. Looks like they are going to give it to him somewhat. Now it's going to be way too hard for him. They're going to just keep on pushing him. They're going to push him the way he pushed them. Then they're going to pick him up. Hedra and Lane do a brilliant job there to keep their cool, keep their nerve.
It's almost scary to think that they're barely above the damage threshold after getting both of those eliminations, so their job's not done just yet, despite Janice and Reason, 94 above. That's a place where they can feel some sort of comfort, but not ultimate comfortability, because they know they have to start being proactive, finding the shots, figuring out where most of the zone, players in the zone are going to be at, so they know exactly where to rotate.
Yeah, and speaking of rotate, they have a max distance zone to traverse. This is a long rotate for them, but they do have hammers. And so we know they'll be able to use that in order to get to that fifth zone. Lucian Steno, not the complete maximum rotate, but again, a very far rotation for them. Another team though that does have hammers, but they also may look for a refresh in this zone. They are lacking in material. Headshot being one of them, barely alive right now.
Going back into the zone, that danger you're on, that shields to get cracked, 48 HP. That's what he's going to get stuck at. But you can kind of see that effect, not getting the Storm Surge early. Even after getting those eliminations, he was barely above, dropped down low, forced to go right back in. But now, there's very little resources to work with all around. He's going to have to figure out what his next play is going to be. Janice, Reason, not too much commotion going on around them. They must have found themselves a great rotation. Wait until everybody rotates around him before they make their next move, so nobody can really focus on getting those shots. Everybody's focused on trying to get into the zone, and that's a perfect play, perfectly executed by them too.
Yeah, I love that positioning there in terms of just making sure to get into zone and get a bit elevated as well. There is another player on this layer though, and so it looks like Janice wants to sort of push them off. And that's exactly what he looks to do. Isn't going to get the elimination. Scram will be the one to get the credit for it. But nevertheless, Janice is the one that's going to profit from it.
Yeah, we got a lot of our top teams, our fan favorite teams at that, still in the game. Queasy being one of them. So Janice and Reason, moments ago. And nice usage of the big bomb to try and hide their position towards the high ground. A lot of the times you see those players towards the low begin to look up, and then that's where they try and sneak some shots on the players like this. But that's going to make it exponentially harder. As now Luka goes down, it's all up to Thomas, but that's really be confident on. He's one of the best solo players, one of the best solo clutches, and this is going to be another test to how good he actually is. Great cover, great defensive play, but sooner or later, it is just too much. Fatiak is going to take him down.
A good of a player he is. That was way too difficult of a situation to handle. And you're seeing the problems that occur, even as good as you are, when you are down below on surge throughout the game. Refs God and Hellfire, though, they don't have to worry about that. What they have to worry about is making sure they can start to traverse these moving zones. You're seeing a lot of the big dogs still in this one. Vino, the Wolf and Queasy is followed as well. How's that gone wrong for that duo? They have to hit the drawing board and come back again for game 2. Chippen, though, he's here with Scram, and they're looking good.
Looking good indeed. Janice and Reason looking all right, getting the damage for Surge. They've been flirting with the line almost all end game long. 17 above, getting that first knock, trying to go in for the elimination. That one's going to be cleaned up. The siphon and the refresh as well. Shockwave hammer being used, trying to get back into the zone, reunite with Reason. But sometimes when you're in this much commotion, it's very, very hard to get hip to hip.
Yeah, we're seeing down below, though.
Great shots.
The low ground battles. Who will be able to claim it? Who will have control? Right now, Lucian and Steno look very comfortable. They're picking up some of limbs on some lurking solos. But there are other players on this layer that they're going to have to deal with. Will they be able to capture them head to head? Of course, the zone will determine almost who can claim it first. Looks like Chippen and Scram want to try and build up, but you'll see that weight is blocked. They need to stay down low for just another moment.
Yeah, just getting their builds, just toss, forced to use a lot of the refresh. Mahi and Fishy doing the same thing. Almost a great shot on a Mixon. He goes down nonetheless. V goes down there as well, putting in a lot of damage to everybody, being forced down into that low ground. Fishy's daring to go into that layer, thinks it's a bad idea, tries to go back, but the decision has been made. He goes down. Now it's off to Mahi. He's stuck in a blender right now. He just got made into a smoothie and sent back to the lobby.
And you can see Groves and Fire Hunter up above the rest of the lobby, sitting pretty. They will love the view as well. Everybody below them fighting it out, but the problem that they will have is that their materials are very, very low. And so it's down to a couple little wood builds and a couple mantling sessions. They need to start hitting some big shots. And soon, Lucia and Stella, they couldn't stay on low. They had to move up a bit. But the journey and the goal is still the same. Can they win this game? Cheating and Flixie, they're still looking good in this one as well.
Yeah, he's trying to stay away from all the commotion that is on the low ground. Maybe a team above him. Tayson and Merstash trying to do that same thing. A little bit low on the HP, trying to fight back from above. Running out of resources, though, has to be careful. Merstash trying to reunite. They do have some heals to work with if they can make it out of that tough spot, as Hellfire is finally going to go down to Fire Hunter. Fire Hunter and Groves, some of the most aggressive teams throughout the 2 days.
And doing exactly what they needed to do, right? Of course, when you're getting lower materials, you're up on height, you've got to start dropping down and taking fights, and that's what they did. But the journey is still going on for Lucia. This time round, though, with just a sliver of HP. Can he stay alive? He's going to have to hit a big shot. This place all around him. 1 HP now. He's hammering back into the zone. Literally anything will take him out right now, and it does. He finally will fall. Janice and Reason still kicking it, though. They're moving, not working with much. But you can see they're on low. Janice needing to reconnect now with Reason. If these two can stay together to do and hold their shotguns out, an opportunity will certainly arise. Jessica, there's a solo. He's moving out throughout all these old builds, all these.
Those left in this game. I believe it might be only 1 or 2 full teams. Flixie is going to be another solo. This is a chance for everybody to rise to the top with whatever's left. But a fight going down. Beast Control going over to Flixie. Scram goes back to the lobby. 4 more points through the elimination. Even more with the placement. Trying to get to the front side of his own. Has some resources to work with. He can make the comeback possible.
Flixie is doing what Flixie has done best throughout all of this season. Fire Hunter and Groves, though, they still are the ones sitting above. Even with the limited materials they were working with, they've managed to find a way. Tayson is chilling in the back of the zone, trying to out-heal it while they take out Flixie. And it looks like that inevitability is coming. He's holding on, but he's just got the wood left. And they know that. They know that they can just keep pressuring from above. Tayson, though, with the med miss, he's got another one as well. Barely staying alive there. And he just needs to wait for Flixie to fall in. It looks like that's what's going to happen in just a matter of moments. They can't connect any shots, though. They can't hit him. And Flixie actually takes out Tayson. And so he's got in second place. But will he be able to win against these guys? The hammer